I'm Aurora, and my journey with yoga began when this guy trusted 17-year-old me with the keys to this studio so I could clean in exchange for classes. For the past 13 years, I've dedicated my career to giving back that exact gift I was given, and now I'm here to share it with you. Welcome to Work From Home Yoga. Do that. Oh, did I startle you? I'm sorry. Hello and welcome to today's class. As always, Bodhi wants to say hi. Can you say hi? Do you realize that you're like the star of the show? Literally half the comments I get on on my classes are like, I love your dog, and it makes me so happy because I love him so much too. He just doesn't realize how much he is appreciated, even when he's annoying and he's chewing on his toy. So thank you for your patience with that. But today's going to be a fun one. So let's get started right away in a downward facing dog. Spread the fingers really wide apart. Start to press the chest back toward the quads. Soften the heels down toward the floor and lightly pedal out through the feet to wake up the hamstrings. If your heels don't completely touch the floor, guess what? That's totally okay. I know the intention is to stretch the hammies, but for some of us, getting the heels flat may not be an option, and that doesn't mean you're not flexible or you're not doing it right. Sometimes it's just our bones won't allow us to get into certain shapes, and that's normal. That's fine. What I want us to do here is actually shorten our stance enough to where we can comfortably either get our heels closer to the floor or flat. And again, if you can't get them flat, totally doesn't matter. It's just for the purposes of this particular stretch to allow them to relax closer to the floor. So walk the hands back a little bit, mini downward facing dog. And with that left heel dropping down, we're going to sweep the right leg up and back. Soften the outer edge of the right hip down with the toes pointing toward the floor and continue to press the chest back toward the quads. You're going to feel this more in the outer edge of that left hip and left IT band. Now we're going to shift forward. So bend at the knee, start to shift forward, squeeze the knee in toward the nose, rounding through the upper back, and keep your left heel as grounded toward the floor as you can when you shift your weight forward. Send it up and back, keep the knee bent, flex through the foot, and then stamp the sole of the foot up toward the ceiling so you feel that in the glute. Do the same thing. Shift forward, round, knee to nose. It's okay if the heel lifts, press back, and then stamp sole of the foot up toward the ceiling a couple times. One more like this. Shift forward, round, up and back, press, stamp, and set that foot down. Whew. Okay, switch. Left leg floats up. Soften the outer edge of the left hip down, meaning we're not opening up the hips out to the side. We're closing off. Press the chest back. Start to bend at the knee. Squeeze the knee in toward the chest. Shift your weight forward. Keep that heel as close to the floor as possible. Feel that stretch along the back of the leg. And then release, lift up, flex the foot, little stamp, press up. Two more like this. Shift forward, round, press down through the hands to lift the back of the heart up toward the ceiling. Then release, up and back, little press. Last one, shift, and up and back, little presses. Good. From here, set the feet down. Walk your hands all the way out into a plank pose. Shifting forward, you can roll onto the outer edges of the feet, dipping the hips toward the side. Let's step that right foot forward between the hands. Roll onto the outer edge of this back foot and start to drop your hips down toward the floor. So hands can stay on the mat. The goal is to target that outer right hip and the top of the left quad. So if you want, you can drop down to the forearms, maybe press the knee away, or stay upright, your choice. That left hip, we're pulling forward and down. And then if you look back, depending on what feels good for your foot, either the toes are out toward the side or the toes are pointed back. Doesn't really matter. We'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1. Release. Step it back to your plank pose, and then switch sides. Left foot forward, roll into the outer edge of the back foot. Drop the knee down. Open up through the hips as much as you want. You'll always hear me cracking my back, chronic back cracker. If that is something that feels comfortable in your practice, you can do that. It's not a bad thing. If you're in pain when you do it, then please feel free to stop. We never want to hurt our bodies. Okay, keep pulling that right hip forward. Ooh, did not expect that to happen. I thought I got them all out. Okay, and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, step it back to your plank pose. From plank, pedal out through the feet, like little, what are these called? Talk about them all the time. Mountain climbers. And then find stillness in your plank. We're gonna shift our weight over into the right hand to roll onto the outer edges of the feet, stack the hips, lift the left arm up. So side plank with both feet on the ground for support. Start to roll out through that arm. And then switch. Come back to plank over to the left side, lift the hips. Reach up and over, windmill the arm around in circles. And back to plank. Let's drop the hips to hover for a modified tuck toe up dog. Pause here. Gaze over the right shoulder. Back to center, gaze over the left. And lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Okay, let's walk the hands all the way back to the feet. Standing forward fold at the back of the mat. Take your hands, bring your 2 peace fingers to your big toes. Soft bend at the knees, lift the chest up. Draw the shoulders back and then bend at the elbows, fold and drop down. Take the head side to side. Big full inhales and exhales here. You can roll out the shoulders, shake the head around. Take one more breath. And then release. Walk the hands forward back to your plank pose. Drop down to the knees. Shift forward, lower halfway down. And then pop up and back to your child's pose. We'll do that 4 more times. So shift forward, lower halfway down, press up and back, child's pose. With a breath, inhale forward, exhale down, inhale up, exhale back. Keep the core engaged. Flat back, elbows squeeze in toward the body. And then we'll meet back in our downward facing dog. Stay here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, take the left hand, reach for the outer edge of that right ankle. Again, if you want to shorten your down dog, you can do that. for more accessibility. So opposite hand to foot, draw your chest back, gaze up underneath that right armpit. Try not to let your shirt get in the way too much. And then hold here, breathe in, breathe out. Inhale and exhale. Again, release, switch, right hand to left foot, draw back. Feel that in the left hip. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and out. Again, release. Back to your downward facing dog. Shift forward a little bit so you can drop down to the forearms. So now we're coming into dolphin pose. You bring the palms together, softly bend at the knees, press the chest back, lift the butt up toward the ceiling, and feel that nice stretch in the upper back between the shoulder blades. Again, you can see here, my heels are not completely all the way down toward the floor, and that's okay. Because my focus is more about creating space in the upper back than it is about working with the hamstrings right now. Upper back and the low back can be really tight in this pose. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift back up into your downward facing dog. And then keep that soft bend at the knees and your tailbone lifting up, back, and down. We're going to take little mini down dog push-ups. So we're bending the elbows out to the side, dipping the chest toward the floor, dropping the forehead down toward the mat, and then popping back up. That's 1. Drop down, lift up. That's 2, 3 more. Down, up for 3, down, up for 4, down, up for 5. Good. Step the left foot forward between the hands, spin to the right, wide-legged forward fold. Let's interlace the hands behind us at the low back. Option to lift the knuckles away from the low back toward the floor. Remembering that anytime you see me do this, it's not because I'm flexible, it's because I have weird shoulder joints. So it has nothing to do with practicing and getting better at it. It's just literally my shoulders are kind of wonky. Whew. So you can continue to keep the hands at the low back or reach for the elbows or lift up a little bit. It just feels good to me to lift it all the way, and I have the capacity to do so. Again, non-yoga related. Just the bones. I have the bones to thank for that. Okay, breathe in. Breathe out. Okay, release. Hands underneath the shoulders, lift up. Keep the left hand planted, sweep the right arm up, and then back behind you for a half bind. So if you want, you can wrap this hand around the top of that left quad. Again, never matters if it actually reaches or not. It's just an option. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay, let's come up onto the left fingertips. Keep that half bind. See if you can reach that arm forward and stay in the twist. Hold for 5, 4. Draw the right shoulder back. 3, 2, and 1. Unwind. Reach up. Drop down and switch. Half bind. Pull back through that left shoulder. Relax the head, neck, shoulders. Breathe in. Breathe out. Come up onto the fingertips. Reach that arm forward. Hold for 5, 4. Stay with the breath. 3, 2, and 1. Unwind, reach up, and drop down. Left hand reaches for the outer edge of this right foot. Pull your weight by bending into the front knee toward the top of the mat. You'll feel this all along the left side body. Inhale here, and exhale. Switch. Over to the left. Pull toward the back of the mat. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good. Release. Rotate face forward. Step it back. Plank pose. Drop the hips to hover. Whew. Gaze over the right shoulder. Back to center. Gaze over the left. Back to center. Lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Inhale. Sweep the right leg up. Exhale. Open up through the hip. So do exactly what I told you not to do before. Before we were squaring off. Now I want you to rotate open and then kick that leg up as high as you can to where you feel it in the right glute. Then we're going to come up onto the left fingertips. Walk the hand back halfway between the right hand and the left foot. Drop down to that forearm. Bend at the knee. Squeeze the heel in toward the glute. Press the chest back. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift up onto the hands. Square off through the hips. Knee over toward that left elbow. Crunch it in for a twist. Knee toward the nose. Set the foot forward between the hands. Drop the back knee. Squeeze the heel in toward the glute. Keep your hands on the mat. Hold here for 5. Flex the foot, toes toward the back of the mat. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release, pull back for half splits and drop all the way down. So relax your seat toward that heel, straighten the right leg, nose toward the knee. Hi Tux, what's up? Take a full breath in. Full breath out. Good. Lift up, rebend, walk the hands forward, step it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg up. Open up through the hip. Come up onto the right fingertips, walk the hand back halfway, and then drop down to the forearm. Bend at the knee, heel in toward the glute. Keep pressing the chest back. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pop up onto both hands, square off, knee to right elbow, knee to nose, step the foot forward, back knee drops. Bend at the knee, squeeze the heel into the glute. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release, pull all the way back. Half splits. Breathe in. You're being really lovey right now. Breathe out. 1 more inhale. And exhale. Good. Lift up, rebend, step it back. Downward facing dog. Shift forward. Drop down to the knees. 5 rounds like we did before. Lower halfway down. Press up and back, child's pose. Again, forward, down, up, back, child's pose. 3 more. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Breath to movement. Shift forward, inhale, lower down, exhale. Breathe in, lift up, breathe out, press back. 1 more. Hold child's pose. Sweep the arms back by your sides, palms up. Shift the forehead on the mat side to side. Slowly lift yourself up, rolling up into hero's pose. Draw the shoulders back and down. Let the palms rest on the quads. Close the eyes. Breathe from your center, from your low belly. Let your practice today be enough. Let your practice every day be enough. Some days we will not be able to make it to our mats. So the fact that you decided to show up today, even if it was for slightly less time than you hoped for, makes a difference, because that consistency builds upon itself and compounds. Place one hand on your chest, one hand on your stomach. Acknowledge your strength, acknowledge your effort, acknowledge your discipline. Acknowledge the work that your body just did. Full breath in. Big exhale out. Gently blink the eyes open. Good work. I will see you next time. Let me know if you have any questions. You can drop them below. And I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Bye.